Welcome,
Hi
Shimi.
Martin, how are you today?
Great, great. Nice day here in Czech Republic. It's very sunny, a little bit dry weather, but what can you do? And what's it
Yeah, it's
in
getting
your
hotter
place?
here as well.
How is it in your place? It's also nice.
Getting a little bit hotter.
Yeah,
We're recovering from the winter
but
slowly.
you know,
But before we even start, let me
yeah,
play something for you.
definitely do. That's a beautiful intro to our live stream, I think. Yeah, not many live streams can have
I hope
these
you were
nice
able to hear
intros.
me through the
Yeah,
headphones.
it was awesome. Thank you very much. You have also a very nice hat. I approve of that.
Oh, do you see me in reversed or do you see it
It's,
straight?
it's, it's correctly, yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah,
So,
Uno platform it is. Yeah,
yeah, the best platform there is.
definitely.
Also, so we will be talking about system reactive, right?
We are.
Reactive programming. So I would like to first introduce yourself to just let people know who you are and what you do.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you start.
Oh, okay. So I'm Shimi. I'm a freelance developer, and um, through using Uno platform, I got acquainted to system reactive, to reactive UI and system reactive, and I really fell in love with it. What system that reactive does is in short, it gives you link capabilities over events and tasks. So you have an event and you can filter what events should actually come back to you, bottom line. So if an event is raised, you have a source that raises multiple events and gives you multiple data. You can filter what should come through on which types of events, like which data should come through to the final invoke method. And reactive system that reactive, which is a Microsoft library, gives you this capability. So
It's like it's essentially like a layer above events programming.
yeah, it's
Like it
not
gives
just
you more
events.
capabilities.
Yeah, it's not only events. You can also wrap around tasks or around methods or around other sources, but it's the most powerful
Yeah.
around
So
events.
yeah. So it just makes easier to work with events and implement the business logic there, right? Like
Correct.
to uh, implement the business rules, which are otherwise quite hard to implement sometimes, right?
Indeed.
Okay,
Yes.
so can you give us some samples or show us what
Yeah,
it can do?
the most easiest way to distinguish and understand, because we I think the easiest way to look at RX is treating as a so-called link library around uh, around tasks or events. But the most important thing to distinguish is that uh, it comes it like ionoverable comes using a push method, a pull method, that you pull data from the
Yeah, you for
ionoverable.
each on a
Yeah,
collection, for example.
you have to explicitly iterate over it
Yeah.
to pull data from it. IObservable works in the other way around, that you subscribe to an event, to an observable, and you get notified whenever some data come in. So it's a push method.
So you
The
essentially wait
observable,
for something to happen and then you
exactly.
react to it somehow. Okay, so it's but it's asynchronous, right? It's not you don't wait synchronously. You don't have to block
You can,
until
yeah, it works asynchronously just like it works synchronously. It can work asynchronously.
anyway.
Yeah,
That's very nice.
So it's also different from IEnumerable, that while IEnumerable you only know the IEnumerable interface. Here there is two types of interface. There is the IObservable of T, and there is the IObserver of T. IObservable of T is the equivalent
collection,
of
basically.
IEnumerable of T that you pull data from, or that you get pushed data from. And in Reactive, there is also the IObserver, which is the method that subscribes to the observable. The observable is the place where you get information from, and the observer is the one who deals with that information.
So it's like the one who handles the events, the modified stream of events, basically.
Exactly. And like IEnumerable, you can take, and the link gives you that you can take the IObservable and you can manipulate it. You can transform it, filter it, or order it, and get notified in a specific order of events or stuff. So
That's very nice. So that's can be very helpful when dealing with user input coming in and handling commands, or handling, for example, if you have something like an editor UI, so you can check which buttons are enabled when some command is running and so on, right? That sounds great.
Yep.
Right, so...
Okay, so should we get started and
we
drill
should,
down
definitely. Show us some examples of reactive UI, reactive programming and reactive UI we have for later.
So let me share my screen with you, Martin.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. I can see your screen.
Okay. Let's create a new project. We will create a WPF or UWP app. Let's make it UWP, no?
It's always hidden in the list. Yeah, it was on the top. It's the...
I don't want the newer ones. I rather
the second one. It should be the one. Second, no, this one. The one above the blank app.
It's a WinUI one.
The one above that is the UWP. This one. Yeah. It's the C#. Right. That's the best start to every demo, to create a new UWP project, right?
Okay, so let's create a list box that contains names, and we're going to make a search box that we want to filter this list box according to the search term that we enter in the search box. Okay.
That's a very common scenario. You have a service that provides you data and you want to filter over them, but don't download them all at once and just show what's relevant to the user.
Yes. For some reason, IntelliSense doesn't show it.
But it should be okay.
Okay, so let's set up an items source for this list view. Let's start with a non-reactive way of doing stuff.
Yeah, the default which many developers go for at the start.
Let's make a view model. We're gonna make it right here.
So System Reactive isn't an alternative to MVVM. It's like an extension, right? It's an addition to it, basically.
We don't need it protected, actually. What this does is it tells the compiler to assign the calling function or property to this variable.
That's very helpful. It's removing a lot of boilerplate code when you change properties.
Okay. So we're going to make a property here. Let's start with the search term.
So that's the user input.
This is the user types in the search term, the query of what he wants his list to be filtered with.
Yeah.
Let's filter out some redundancies.
So it doesn't trigger twice with the same thing.
Yeah. Actually, maybe let's do it later in... okay. Oh man, yeah, we'll leave it for now. I'm thinking to remove it so I can do it later in Reactive.
Yeah, that's also fine. We can do that.
For the moment, I'm going to leave it.
Yeah.
Well, first we're going to set the value, and now we're going to notify.
Okay.
Event was changed. Okay. Additionally, let's make a list of our values. I call it names. Okay, and we don't need it to be read-write.
So that will be our fake API service, right?
This is going to be the view model.
It's
not going to be. Yeah, it's going to be the view model, which is going to tell the UI what variables to, what names to display.
Okay.
And we're going to keep on feeding this list, this property, this thing here with the new values, with the new list that got updated after we've been filtering it.
That makes sense. Okay, so
and
by default it's empty, and we will then put some values inside.
Yeah. Complaining about. Oh, sorry. Okay. And this here we're gonna hold the list itself, the source list.
Oh, it's different name. You have a name clash there. It's the same name as... Yeah.
And we're gonna name Martin, Amy, who else? John. Or some of the Uno platform guys.
Yeah, good idea.
Hey, Jerome. Francois.
Shout out to Uno platform here.
All right. Many more, but okay.
It's a good start.
Yeah, that's a good start. Okay. And we're gonna make a fake. API call here.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna keep it private.
So it's just basically our call to the fake API, right?
Yeah, this is our API, but we are not going to access it directly from here. We're going to access it through this thing, which is calling the server
Right.
and
Right.
loading the names.
So,
And
of course, asynchronously, as connections are unreliable, so we have to make it asynchronous, as we don't want to block until the results return.
yeah, right. Let's make a little flag that tells us whether the values are filtered or not. And we're going to assign it to okay, let's say call it skip filter. And if we don't have a filter, we can return the name source. Otherwise, we want to return name source where name contains search term.
Maybe we can add one more condition to make it more complex, which that the search term has to have at least 3 characters or something.
Okay. Something like that. Probably need to import that here.
Maybe the length should be less than 2. If we skip if it's less than 2, so probably the other way around.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so that's good. And now we have to... Maybe we can introduce some fake delay, like to show it's really calling the API.
Good idea.
Just to make it more realistic.
Let's say half a second. Okay. Now let's set up the data context. We're going to go directly with data context here.
That's fine. Just keep it simple.
We're going to give it our view model. Okay. And we also want to, okay, let's make a property here. We want to make sure that when it's loaded, we are refreshing the data. So we're going to make a list here, we're gonna make a public call for, or we can, okay, let's do public void refresh. Over here, we're gonna say names. We're gonna say for each. Let's do it this way. Let's make it async.
So this will be triggered every time the search term changes.
No. Okay.
So now we put those values in. You probably want to for each for values and then put, because you have now names in the for each. It's probably
Yeah. Thanks.
Right. So that's good.
Okay, so what we want to do here first is that we want to make sure that once data context has been set with our view model, we want to first launch our view model's refresh async with an empty search term, so that the names
everything is shown,
populated. Yes. So we're gonna call it here for this.
Yeah. So that's the initializing. We already have a warning that it's asynchronous call and we have to fire and forget.
Maybe it's gonna work.
Maybe, or it will, deadlock.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, it's in a constructor, so we never do that.
Yeah, that's risky.
All right. Now let's get to the UI for a minute, and let's assign some things here. So we want our data context has already been set. We can do it in the UI if we want. We can do it in the UI, and then it's gonna be, we have a better chance here for it to work.
Yeah, better safe than sorry.
Still not sure it's gonna work, but definitely a better chance.
Yeah.
Fire, forget.
Never do that.
Never do that. Okay. Or
Xbind, yeah. Even better. Yeah. Even though you are setting it in the code behind, so you don't have to set it here, I think.
No, I'm not. I removed that line.
Oh, okay.
Remove that line, so I instead listen to the event here.
That is fine.
And then when it's set over here.
Yeah.
But I don't like to use Xbind always, because there is one advantage in using binding, that it allows you to make scopes. For example, if I have
that's right.
If I have nested types, for example, if I have a contact that has phone that has a name singular, then I can set the scope here, data context equals binding contact.
Yeah.
And then the list view I can set to
Items.
binding phone.
Yeah,
Whereas in
that's right.
Xbind does not support this feature, and Xbind always syncs to the page.
Mm.
I actually filed an issue to the WinUI library, and hopefully one day we're gonna see this feature in this way or another.
It's one of the things that are missing in Xbind currently, when
Yeah.
compared to binding. It's probably one of the few things that are missing. Otherwise, it's almost feature complete. So
Yep.
yeah, in
Yeah,
some way it could be done, like maybe
there are many
separate
features
scope
that
thing.
are even nicer in Xbind.
Mm.
Plenty. We're gonna set our item source to the what was it? Names, was it?
I think so. Yeah, the advantage of Xbind is the strong typing. No? Gives you.
Yeah.
You always know that you typed it correctly.
Yeah. So you know what? Let's do this.
It's a simple example, so.
Yeah.
Right. Names.
For example, here, if I would use binding, I could go just names. I could just do.
Right.
But with Xbind, I have to.
Yeah, it's more verbose. When you write things, you have to go the whole path.
Yeah.
Than just. The only exception is when you have it in the list, and then you have data template, and then you can do X data type, and then use the scoped items view model. Okay, and you have to. Also, the one annoyance is that you have to remember to use mode one way when you want one way binding with Xbind.
That's right. Actually, we don't. I'm not sure. It depends. It
We
depends
probably
on
don't need.
the property, but yeah, I understand that that in Xbind it's always you always have to explicitly specify.
Yeah. Actually, there's a special attribute which allows you to set a scope, a default mode for a scope. So if you set something like X colon default bind mode, it's the property. When you set it, then you can say that for the whole page you want 2Y binding, for example.
Oh wow!
That's
nice.
a kind of it's since for creators update, I think.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Check it out. Okay, I am not sure if search box query text is a default two-way.
I think it's you have to specify it in UWP. Xamarin Forms allows you to specify the default mode, but not in UWP, I think.
I know that in WPF you don't, for example, for text box, you don't have to specify. It's automatically going to be two-way.
Oh.
According to the property, when you set up a dependency property in WPF, one of the features in the dependency property is setting up which default binding mode it's going to be.
Mm-hmm. Not sure if that made it into UWP.
Yeah. Okay, so
let's launch it. We should be ready to see the results, right? That should now query.
Get here. Okay, we compile. That's progress.
Mm-hmm. Now, refreshing.
All right, let's see if we get through this. It's called twice. Why is that?
And it's null, actually. Ooh. What's null? something in the refresh async method fails.
Let's see. I'm not sure. Maybe it refers to the view model. No, view model is not null.
It should be. So it's something here, but what is maybe the search term? This is null by default.
Why is it called twice though?
Oh, actually, maybe it's.
Load names. It's over here.
Why is it called twice?
Probably something here. Must be something here. I don't know. I haven't even looked at the
So
code.
this skip filter has to.
Yeah.
And we have to skip if it's null, not if it's not equal null. So it should be equal null, and then or.
Oh man. Yeah.
That should
All right. Yeah. Okay. It's called twice. Well, we're not gonna care about that now. Let's just make sure it does what it's supposed to do. It's the search term, delays. Yeah.
Twice. Whatever.
Right. Now you don't know which of them they are.
Well, as long as it finishes.
Yeah.
And this should
Okay.
not pass.
Should skip the filter
Skip
now.
filter.
And it returns the name.
Everything.
Now again. All right.
Okay. So because it's twice, it's also displayed twice. Maybe we should add some clear before we populate the. In the refresh async method, we have not cleared the collection.
Yeah. No. Maybe if I don't use it from the, maybe I do it like I did it before, like not on data context change, because the data context change launches twice.
But I've noticed this behavior once in a different occasion, but I'm not sure why it's executed twice.
In the ugly way now, because I don't really care about it, because this is going to be deleted in a second.
Right.
If we were now using Reactive, we could filter this event and say launch the event only if we haven't launched it before.
Or first time, basically.
Yeah. In Link, you would do it a query dot take.
Right.
Query dot take this, and same in Rx. You would also say take one. So it only takes the first time this event is launched. So anyway, let's see that we have one time of the data.
It should be enough. But we still probably have to put some clearing in the refresh async, because when we later change the input, then it will still be displaying the previous results.
Yeah, but because we're saying add,
right.
We need to go here, names dot clear.
Yeah.
So in this case, let's just remove this. Yeah, you're right. Let's just remove this, and we won't care. It's added twice, but it's deleted. Every time we have an access to the server, we make sure we have data from the server. Every time we refresh, we need to clear everything before.
Yeah, clean it up. Right.
I think maybe this way would be better.
Horizontal.
Yeah. What do you think?
Maybe. Yeah. Because previously we were cut off.
Yeah, let's try that. Also, I put it in front of me. It's my phone, and I don't put it on the side.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have our names here, and this updates the search term, which doesn't yet do anything. Okay.
That's
So
reasonable.
now,
Maybe if you can zoom the code a little bit, so it's
oh
easier
yeah,
to
sure.
see.
Sorry. Yep.
Just realized. Yeah, that's better. Thanks.
So what we're gonna do now is have this after a property changed. You're gonna call refresh. I'm so used to working like this
Mm-hmm.
that I'm already not sure how to do it otherwise. Can go view model dot property changed.
So that's the simple way to do it. Like, it's not the clean way, right?
Yeah, usually you would do it from here somewhere. Also, you would do it from here basically. Refresh.
We could, right?
Placement.
But the problem here is the asynchronicity.
Yeah, that's why we won't use Rx. Also because we want to enjoy the event wrapping around. But okay, let's see if this works.
Maybe it will block. I'm not sure if it's gonna let us do that.
Yeah.
I'll see.
It might block, especially given that it's in the UI thread.
Yeah.
We don't see.
It blocked already, or
I don't know. But if it takes more than a second, oh yeah, actually we have a second of waiting. So let's
wait,
do this.
you removed the refresh on the start, so it's not displaying the data. This guy here. You probably want to keep this there.
Oh yeah, we want to make search. We want, yeah, or we want to explicitly set the search term.
Yeah, so it's empty, for example.
Yeah, and then we're gonna launch it.
Hmm.
Yeah, but then it's, yeah, let's keep it as it was.
It's fine. So just we will be testing the change. Right. So let's see. Refreshing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there it is. Okay.
I'll just maybe just fire and forget. It's
Yeah.
we can keep it like that for now, and then we will improve it with reactive. Refresh sync. Right. Let's see what happens.
Okay. Let's see if we have gotten here.
We should at least 3 letters, so it shouldn't do anything for the first 2, right? It should skip there.
Okay, we have search term here. Ask delay, skip filter. Okay, it's working now. Okay,
let's see.
With that. Ah.
Oh. Oh, it's case sensitive probably.
Yeah.
Good.
Hello.
Searching. All right.
Okay. Now what we're going to do is make this work with system.reactive. What we're going to do is we're going to subscribe to the property changed event and say that we want to react to the instance of a property named search term changing and having a new value. And in that case, we want to load again data from the server.
Right.
When we want to send that search term to the server and get the data from it.
But we will do it in a reactive way, so that we don't have to do this asynchronous calls, fire and forget, dangerous things.
So we're going to go ahead and add system.reactive here.
Like the naming shows that it's basically a Microsoft library, right?
Yeah.
It's just a foundation, so
yeah,
that's good.
So you covered. What we want to do here is we want to create an observable,
right,
that will track the event. Now this method, as you can see, it has 16 overloads.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. And sometimes you don't need to specify the type arguments. For example, if you use an event handler delegate, a parameterless, that is only event args, plain simple event args, then you don't need to event. But let's try that. So if you have an event type event handler, then you don't need to specify anything, and you would just, okay, so let's see how this method works, and then we're going to come back to this. Well, there is a few overloads what you can specify. You can say, I want to specify this, which is the main page, and then the name of the event.
Right.
And then you don't need to then you don't deal with the names at all. It's just reactive of event pattern of object.
But there's a disadvantage that it's a bit slower because it needs reflection, right?
Yeah. What you can do is use these overloads, and these overloads give you two parameters. Since C# event handling operators work in, you can do it other than adding handlers and removing handlers. You can only do it this way. The reactive guys made this method of handling, of attaching and detaching handlers from the event. So what this method gives you here is, what you have to give this method, is an action that attaches the handler to your event. So this argument is what reactive gives you, and this is a handler to the event you would like to handle. So I'm going to go my event, add my handler to it.
So there's the attach, and then you detach in the end.
Yes. And system.reactive takes care of actually calling these actions you specify for adding and removing the handler here.
So this providing this, it just makes things strongly typed, essentially.
Yeah.
So this method creates a source of the events for you, which you can then react on.
Right. What this method gives you is the IObservable. It's an IObservable of event pattern of object that we talked about before. The IObservable is basically an interface that is parallel to the IEnumerable, but you never actually have to implement it yourself. As you can see, Reactive System.Reactive provides you with all the tools that you need to generate these events from existing stuff. And same with Observer, with iObserver, which is the thing that gets launched when an event happens, when data is available. You don't actually need to implement those interfaces ever.
Well, that's very nice. Makes life easier.
Okay, so here we have a pipeline, and from this pipeline, once it's an iObservable, you can filter it, and you can say, I want this event to be launched only when, okay, so we have this event. Sorry, let's go back a little bit, because we're talking about the various overloads from this event pattern. So we started to say that if it's a simple event handler, a non-generic event handler, you use this overload. But what if it's an event handler of let's say property changed event args? Then you would need to specify property changed event args.
Yeah. Now we get rid of the error and it works.
Yeah, and this will be an iObservable of event pattern. Event pattern, as you can see, is a system reactive thing, and it encapsulates the data about this event, including the event args. And this is an event pattern of property changed event args.
So strongly typed, and you can access any properties in there.
Yes. But if we use a different event handler that is not of of this delegate, which is system event handler of the event args.
Something special.
Yeah, something special like property changed event handler. For example, this delegate is a custom delegate that takes a sender and a property change event args.
It's essentially the same thing as the previous one, but it's different type, so it's not exchangeable.
Yeah. In that case, we're going to have to specify and tell Rx that we are using, and I'm searching through the overloads. So we have here T sender, T event args, and there is also we have a handler, event handler.
Right. So you have to specify both, essentially.
Yeah. Let's look at that. What I did is I did control click.
That's a nice shortcut.
I think it's F12.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, because control click might be an extension I installed that makes it easier. 12. What is F12?
I go to definition. So it's the same thing, probably.
Yeah.
So this is the one.
Delegate and T event args.
Yeah.
And this is the one we're going to use because we want to watch our view model's property changed event, which is a property changed event handler. So instead of using this dummy event,
we will use the actual one. So view model. And one might ask that when you do it like this, you get notification about all the properties. So that's something you will have to resolve then after you create the pipeline, right?
Yeah. Yes, indeed. This will launch every time any property changes in my view model. But since we don't have any other properties, I don't mind doing it this way. Then we will filter because we want to get the actual property change. We can also filter it down to narrow to that only property changed event args with a property name of search term will come through. Okay, so let's look a minute. This is our pipeline, and let's look at this pop-up, and we'll see that it's an iObservable of event pattern of property changed event args. So first thing we want to do is get the property name from it.
Right.
We're gonna go and say where select. First of all, we want this event pattern thing.
Because we don't care about anything else in there, so we just can stay with the proper name.
You can see it's event pattern of property changed event args. Maybe let's take a minute and let's look at this event pattern class.
Yeah.
It's event pattern of tsender t-event args. And it gives us the sender, which in our case is an object, and it gives us our t-event arg.
Yeah, that's pretty reasonable. So it's pretty simply
both
the arguments of the event.
Yes. And we want to only select the event args because we don't care at the moment. We want to access the property, or we should take it from the sender. We should take it from the sender. So we do want the sender. So let's keep it. Let's keep this EP. And we're gonna say where ep.eventargs.property name equals search term property.
So we are interested only in these events.
Right. And then we're going to select the actual search term value. So we can move it on to the server, to our fancy server.
Right.
Okay. I'm going to select ep.sender. Which is an object.
That's essentially our view model.
Yeah. You can go directly to the view model, but I prefer doing it this way and stick and, not escape from our pipeline. Especially for the sake of this example here now. And we're going to take our search term here. So what we ended up here now is an iObservable of string. And this observable string will launch when will notify us with a ready string whenever it's going to give us a search term string whenever the search term is updated.
Okay, so we if we now display the results, we will get the sequence of what the user has entered.
Right. We haven't set it up yet. We haven't done anything yet.
Right.
And it's important to notice that this pipeline here won't actually do anything at all. It's like IEnumerable when you create an IEnumerable, like when you say values equals view model dot names dot where name, let's say name that starts with something. This won't actually execute. Even this line, if even we pass this line, it won't actually do anything. It would just assign here an IEnumerable, but the IEnumerable won't iterate. It won't actually do anything. It's just gonna be the setting. It's just gonna be our pipeline here that's gonna be assigned. But it's only when I call to list or to array that it actually gets materialized.
So it's lazy, basically. It's a lazy behavior.
Yeah. Same is true with with observable. We have to subscribe. We have to do stuff with it for it to actually sorry, to actually execute, to actually forward it to our observer.
Okay, can we, for example, output the results to the debug window so we can see what happens?
Yeah, there is actually a one of the operators. These are all called operators in the reactive jargon. So there is an operator that is called do, which actually doesn't subscribe. It also does not subscribe. It's just an operator, a midway operator, a middleware operator that allows
so
you
it
to
just
do
helps
stuff.
you debug when it actually is used.
Example here. Or if you want just to put a breakpoint in, just to see the stuff happening here. Let's keep this breakpoint indeed. So we can see it later on. So we will subscribe without even doing anything yet.
Okay, maybe if you just remove the subscribe to show us that that the do is not called if you don't subscribe, just to prove it that
Okay, yeah.
the pipeline is just,
I hope I'm
just
right.
there.
Have we done anything?
Yeah, so it's not doing anything.
Yeah,
It's just
maybe
sitting there
we
and
put it in the main page and all this gets cancelled.
right. Okay, so that's good. And now if you subscribe, then it should start actually doing something, right?
Yeah, we should all do it over here.
And that's what I noticed, that Reactive helps you keep the logic in one place usually. Usually it's a constructor, right? That you set up all the logic for the view model, and otherwise it's clean
In
and simple.
other frameworks, you were used to split up all your methods and scatter them up all over your file. This is Reactive that keeps all your logic and your entire pipeline in one spot.
Right.
But I'm not sure about this variable, because maybe as soon as we escape from here, all this. So let's first subscribe and see that it's working, and then we're going to remove the subscribe. Okay. And you can also put breakpoints in each of these lines if you would like to. If you select, if you notice, you only select what's inside this block, inside the lambda, and you hit F9 to add a breakpoint. It's going to stop here.
Okay, so
it
typed, and we have first notification there.
Okay.
Entering. It's A. Oh, that's trying to debug something that we don't have. And so we get here in the do.
Now let's remove this subscribe.
Right.
Make sure that it doesn't get fired.
Yeah. No longer does anything.
Be hard. No, it doesn't work. Okay.
Okay. So now.
Okay. So what we want to do is we want to launch. We want in this over here. Okay. So this we can remove now that we've seen that it works. We have here our pipeline ends up here with an IObservable of string. This is an IObservable that each time it's gonna give us a result. It's gonna be a string, which is gonna be the search term that we got now that the user typed in a query.
Yeah.
And what we want to do with this search term is send it to the server, and the server is in return gonna give us some of the results that match to this search term, because there are obviously a million of results in our server. Fancy server, I should say.
Okay, so we can.
Okay, so what we want to do is select. We have the term already here because we selected the term in our previous line. So we want to take the term and we want to transform the term with this current select line, and we want to turn it into a task, and this task is the actual task that requests the server for the data. So we select the refresh. What was it?
Refresh is sync. Oh no, load names, of course, yeah.
Load names one. This load names we're gonna give our term here. So notice that I'm not calling async here or anything. This load term, this method, when you look at it, it doesn't actually do stuff. It returns a task.
Yeah.
It returns the task. What's returned from this method is a task that when this task will be executed, it's going to be an IOnormal of string. So we take this task and we select it. And if we look, we're going to see that this IObservable now has a task of an IOnormal of string.
Oh. So how do we await it?
Okay, so we first want to get rid of this task here. Okay.
Right.
Reactive gives us an operator that is called switch. The switch operator flattens inner tasks in IObservable. So this IObservable returns whenever there is a search term available. Whenever there is a search term available, it's going to select for us a task from the server with an IOnormal of string, and we don't want actually the task. We want the task to run and get the IOnormal of string. So this switch flattens this, and it takes care underneath. It takes care of executing the task and retrieving the IOnormal of string.
So it does essentially inside does the await for us and handles the exceptions potentially if some happen.
Yes.
So we got rid of the fire and forget because we are now handled. It's now handled by the observable automatically.
Another way to achieve that is using select many operators. There is a select many. What it usually does, it flattens. If you have like an IOnormal of contacts, and each contact has a list of phones, and you want to have all the phones of all contacts, and you just want an IOnormal of phones, you would go select many, and you would say contact here and contact.phones. And what this line will return is going to be an IOnormal of phone.
So it's like a flattened.
From each contact is three phones, and it's going to stack them all up together.
Yeah.
So here's also what we want to do. We want to skip the task and take all the IOnormals, which in our case is only one IOnormal per time, per task, per search term changed.
So it's like also the flattening, the same thing as, so it's the equivalent of select and switch basically.
We can go term and select a task, select our task there. You see this font? You also use this font?
Not actually, no.
Uh,
It's a custom one, right?
no, it's, I forgot what its name is. It's JetBrains Mono.
Oh, right.
It's a free font. I actually like it.
I saw that on Twitter when they announced it. I haven't tried it yet. It seems nice.
Okay, so load. It was load names term. And this is going to do the same thing as select switch. So I'm going to stick with select many since it looks nicer. It's shorter.
So now we will have observable of enumerables, essentially.
Yeah. And what we want to do now is set our result here. Okay. This we don't need now, do we?
We don't. We don't need to call the load name since we will get it as a parameter.
Basically, we do want it. Well, we want to do it in a
simple
different
version.
way. Yeah.
Just
void update values. This is just going to be a little routine that takes the data that we got from the server values and put them into our visible, into our names here that UI can see, because this one is our server. It's hidden, no one can see it.
So. Let's pretend it's not there.
Yeah.
Okay, so this will just take the values and display them. Okay.
So what we want to do here is we want to call and say that when we have names available from the server, we want to update, should be update values. We want to update our UI with these values.
And boom, and we're done. Okay.
Okay.
Seems simple enough. Oh, what do we have here? Oh, the refresh async. We don't need it now. Just
we do need it for our first load.
Oh, to show something.
Yeah. But what we can do is something else. There is another operator. Start with. Here. Start with. And this operator makes sure that this pipeline will anyway get executed. It's a null value. Oh.
Maybe we can just show all the names, like the names.
Yeah. So I'm sending in an empty string, a null string.
Oh, right.
So we start with a null string. The reason I'm putting this line over here and not here, for example, not here, is because I don't want to mess with our I don't want to mess with our signature here.
Good. Okay, so
let's make sure that this pipeline runs.
Right.
Okay, we see
get
it over
the empty term.
and we're going to move to our update values. Let's put a breakpoint here. So
Perfect. So it now runs
we got our
correctly.
values, the server.
Oh, that's the
Whoopsie.
worst we can. That's the
Okay.
worst thing we can get.
Yeah.
So,
This
threading
happens.
issues.
Yeah. So it says the application called an interface that was marshaled for a different thread. So you see, the UI thread runs on a different thread than our view model does. And
Because we returned from the async method, so we are basically well, very very likely on a different thread.
yes. So we want to update our UI in the UI thread, in the thread that takes care of the UI. So Rx provides us with another operator, does scribe and subscribe on, observe on, and in this observe, in this place, we tell Rx where we want to subscribe to this pipeline on which thread we would like to subscribe our pipeline. So I want to use our dispatcher. Dependency object. This don't remember. Dispatcher, colon dispatcher, is it? Or this dispatch? No, you get to this dispatcher. Dispatcher? No. How do you get the current?
I think you can use core application, or maybe this will have. No, you have to use core application. Core application dot get.
You got it.
Get current view.
Or get through get current view. Or we can use. Okay, if you don't want to use the. Okay, so Rx gives us an operator that does it for you.
Oh.
Okay, let's see how they do it. Core dispatcher schedule. This is also an Rx thing, no?
Yeah, but probably they just get it somehow from the current thread. Yeah, window current. They take window current. That's nice.
Yeah, so what you can do is also like observe on window.current.
That dispatcher. Window.current.dispatcher is the property there. Right.
I say this because sometimes you don't want to use sometimes you want to mix in different dispatchers if you're working with different threads.
When you have multiple windows, basically, you can get into this issue.
Yeah. If you work with an Uno platform and you want the dispatcher is different in each platform and you want to take care of different platforms, you want to mix in the platform from different the dispatcher from different platforms. You want to keep observe on and over here to specify the appropriate dispatcher for the current circumstance.
But if Reactive can do it for you, it's even better.
Yeah.
This solution should work cross-platform, right? So you don't have to care about it.
Should. Yeah, it should.
Okay, let's see what happens. And now we'll see if we crash or not.
Okay,
right.
We passed the threading point. If he was able to do it, that means that he executes this code on the dispatcher, on our UI dispatcher.
Perfect. So that's a good start. And now we should just populate the names, and we should get here. Awesome.
Okay. So let's type in something. Let's remove our breakpoint here. type in something. Okay. If you notice, we type in DD, it executes twice. It refreshes twice. See?
Yeah.
Flickers. It's my baby knocking on the door here.
Yeah.
Coronavirus, everybody at home.
Maybe he wants to learn something about Reactive.
Yeah, probably. The H3, maybe he's going to become an engineer one day.
Yeah, definitely. So, So it executes multiple times. So what do we do to prevent that?
So we would want to make sure that this search term, that this pipeline only fires after a while has passed. So if the user goes and types in something,
Right.
we wait patiently and we'll let him finish typing, and then we act accordingly.
Yeah, we don't want to kill our server by firing hundreds of requests.
Right. Yes.
So this is a very complicated thing to write when you do it normal way. So let's see if Reactive can do it easier.
If you would do it normally, you would want to use timers and delays and get control of it. Reactive UI provides us with a simple operator that takes care of it. We're going to put it right in the beginning of the pipeline, and it's called throttle. And this says some seconds. Say half a second or even more, 700 milliseconds. And that says that if within the window of 700 milliseconds the user retyped another character, we're going to cancel our previous operation. We're going to keep on making a new throttle round and wait him to finish typing. It's only going to be after 700 milliseconds have passed that we're going to execute this pipeline here.
Nice.
So let's try that.
So let's see. Yeah, nothing's happening.
Anything, as long as I typing in the time frame of 700 milliseconds. But once I stop and give it 700 milliseconds, it's going to execute.
Perfect. That's very nice.
Now let's deal with another thing. What if I type in again Martin? Okay. I think we dealt with it over here already.
But if we don't, what do we have to do?
Actually, we didn't, because when I type in it didn't deal, because if our search term is Martin, is MAR, and I type in M, it's gonna start it anew. The property will be set.
Right.
So this basically doesn't say anything.
Because if you change it in the throttle time span, then it will not work.
But I want to make sure that, let's see it again in action. Sorry for closing it. So if I have typed mar again, okay? You see
refreshes.
That it refreshes, and it's redundant. This refresh is redundant because, I mean, why ask the server for the same value if I already have the result?
Yes, that's unnecessary. So what do we do?
Rx provides us with another operator that is, we're going to put it here. No, here. that is called distinct until change. And to this point, it's only going to continue and subscribe or not subscribe if not valid. It's only going to continue this pipeline if our value is distinct compared to the value we previously had in the pipeline. So now, if we're gonna type in mar twice, it's not gonna fire.
So the first one, and now, right, nothing.
Anything.
So we saved our server 1 execution for free.
Yes.
Awesome.
What else haven't we covered here?
We have the logic that says if you type less than 3 characters, you don't execute the call.
Right.
Because we have the logic there, but we could take it out basically and put it in our observable, right?
Right. Our server does have to make. Oh, yeah. Okay. Leave it here because our server is supposed to take care of it, but we don't want to make a round trip to our server. If someone types D, okay.
Yeah, it does the round trip, even though it, to load all the names, even though
it gets here, and we don't want it to get here at all.
Right.
So this is a redundant round trip to the server. Okay, so aside from this, also because the server takes us a lot of time to respond. What did I mess up here? Okay. So we're gonna remove the length. We're only gonna skip the filter if the search term is empty, because if someone wants to search all values that contain S, that's a valid query. We still want our server to respond to that.
Right.
But our UI, we don't want to send a query if our user is not serious in searching some real stuff. And real stuff means that, I mean, there is names with 2 characters. So a minimum name or a beginning of a name should be, let's say, two characters, right?
So we just skip one letter searches.
And we're gonna say that this pipeline only executes when the term is not null. You see this font? This is cute.
This is very cool.
Yeah.
Makes it much nicer to the eyes.
The term that length is greater than 2 or greater than equal. Oh, that's cool too. See?
Just combines both characters.
Now, let's Control-Shift F5 to launch this again. If we're going to type in some unserious queries, our pipeline here is just going to ignore us.
Good. Oh,
start with 1. Oh, yeah, that's a problem, because if we don't type anything, it still ignores us.
Yeah, right.
So we're term that length. So we can say that we want the query to execute only if term is null, or if term that length is greater than 2 chars, greater or equal.
So one of the queries will be of the limits, and if you keep it just empty, it should give us.
Yeah, that's not going to execute because term will never be null because
Yeah.
it comes to the text box. And
Okay,
it's not
so
going to be empty. So we're going to say where term dot length is either 0 or no, it's going to be null. It's going to be
0.
yeah, it's going to be default, like default. We don't know what this is going to be because this is a nullable. Because
for the first time it will be null.
Yeah, this first time it will be null, right? Or let's make it over here that if search term null value is null, value equals string dot empty, and to assign this to string dot empty. In this way, we make sure that we'll never bump into nulls, and then we can say term dot length is either 0.
In this case, we could, if we were using C#8, we could just say it's not nullable and make it clear that we don't expect any nulls there.
Pardon?
Oh, if you are using C#8, then you can say if a reference type is nullable or it's not nullable.
Okay, yeah, we have to enable those nullables.
It's probably not necessary. Just
yeah. We have to. I think we have to enable it in the project.
Yeah, it has to be, but you cannot do it in the Visual Studio interface. You have to close the.
What do you mean? How do you do it? You edit the project file.
You have to edit it, but you cannot do it directly from here. You have to open it in a VS Code, for example, or in a separate editor.
Yeah, or you unload. You know what? Let's do it for a minute. You can unload the project.
Yeah, that's also an option. I just hope that UWP will get the new project format soon and it will be possible to change it on the fly.
Yeah.
It's a long version, I think.
Yeah.
Many people think that C#8 cannot be used with UWP, but it can be used until you use something like the default interfaces, which are not working. But nullables are pretty okay.
Yeah, it's a very powerful feature and it avoids a lot of problems.
Yeah, like it. Well, you still have to be careful, but it improves the experience for you because you know that something could be null.
Yeah. If, for example, we would, now that we enabled our nullability, our nullable, if we're not going to set anything, it's going to complain. I think it should complain here.
It should complain.
It should complain.
It doesn't, but it should.
Here, it's supposed to complain, or maybe it's going to build it.
Maybe it just didn't pick up on the changes, or yeah, it's saying something.
No,
it's saying something in the app file. Not sure why there.
No, that's in the app file.
Uh-huh.
No, it should complain here, I think.
Maybe just IntelliSense doesn't.
Oh, no, it should not complain. I'll tell you why. Because value is not nullable. So we set it here. If search term equals value and...
Oh, but by default, the string will be null. Like the backend property search term will be null, so it should complain there.
Yeah.
Well.
Okay. Let's not stop.
Maybe it's just confused. Okay, so let's come back here. So we will now have to filter for we want it to execute when the length is 0 and when it's more than 1, right?
We're going to do a trim to get rid of the spaces, or we can even do it over here. Select, we're going to do it separately. Term dot trim.
You have to clean it up.
Or we can do it over here. Value dot trim. Yeah, there are some duplicate stuff because if we're setting here, it's never going to be trimmed, but okay, let's leave it as it is in the moment.
Yeah.
So trim, and then where term dot length equals either 0 or it's a new keyboard, and this thing is in a different location.
It hurts.
Yeah.
It has some learning curve before you get there.
Length is greater or equal than 2.
Right. So now it should work correctly. So let's see. It doesn't
do it.
Now it should. Yeah. Cool.
But you know, now if I delete one character, it still won't do anything. Only now when I...
Like it's
Yeah.
It's probably correct behavior,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah. The truth is that, I don't know, when you're searching for, you could do some functionality to avoid it. Like when you go back, so if the previous result was a larger amount of characters, you would...
but you know, it's not really... It's probably fine that it doesn't refresh because it shouldn't show anything that doesn't have M in it. So it's probably okay that it does this.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you had a point. Okay, I think that's it for today.
Yeah, it's very nice. So it's basically allowed us to take all the business logic and put it in one place, and even implement things that we couldn't easily implement before that, like the throttling and checking for the changes and many other things, like evading the task itself and taking the last value there. So yeah, very much simplified code.
Yep, definitely worth it.
Like, it takes a while to get used to this way of thinking, you know. It's a bit different than when you just subscribe to events manually and, you know, add some flags, and, you know, it's a different way to think. But once you get into it, it's very natural and allows you to think in terms of flows of events, not just directly reacting to single events.
Yes. Once you get used to it, you can never go back.
Right.
Oh, be warned, be aware to that.
So, but this is just system reactive, and there is something more, right?
There is a dedicated MVVM library that is called Reactive UI. And it's, okay, so let's go one by one. So there is, what we talked about today is called system, no, it's not going to work. It's called system.reactive. And it's a NuGet package, and it's also on GitHub. If anyone wants to look it up, it's .NET Reactive. Oh, it's under .NET. Can you believe it?
That's nice. Good backing.
Yeah, it's all open source, and the documentation is also, I think, on Docs. And there is even a Slack channel. And it's a very backed repo.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a lot of downloads, I'm sure.
Yeah, 12 million
Yeah.
downloads there on the right side. I see.
The last month, on the last 20 days, 30,000 downloads.
That's fine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 12
That's the
million.
total. That must be
Wow.
one of the most downloaded, probably. Okay.
And there is. Wait a minute. I have
Why does it appear there?
UI.net.
Mm-hmm.
And this. Oh, I have a little strip on top of
I
the
see it.
skin.
I see it.
Oh, okay, you can see it. I don't know how to get rid of it.
Whatever.
Or maybe if I pin it and unpin it, it'll be. Yeah, okay.
Interesting.
Okay, so anything you need to do VM stuff, MVVM stuff, this is the thing to go the RX way.
Okay.
Reactive UI is, I'm going to read it for you, an advanced composable functional reactive model view model framework for all .NET platforms. So it takes the power of RX and brings it into MVVM and mixes them both together. And Reactive UI also gives you abstractable ways to deal with model dialogues, for example, with view location, view model location, registration of services, and a lot more.
That's cool. So that's something we could probably look into next time, right?
Yeah, definitely. We should come back to it.
Because this can actually be used in a Uno platform as well.
Yeah.
So we can make a very nice cross-platform reactive solution on Android, iOS, Windows, and WebAssembly.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll do.
So that sounds very nice. So I will probably invite you for next session, probably some kind of next week or something, and we will look into Reactive UI.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me, Martin.
Thank you, and I hope you will have a nice week, nice rest of the week and weekend with your kids.
Yeah, hope to survive it, yes.
All right.
You too, Mark. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.